Hi, and welcome to the Third and King podcast. Today is Wednesday, May 22nd, and we're going to talk about the second game between the Giants and the Pirates, where the Giants just won 9-5. We're going to talk about 5 things I like and 5 things I didn't like from the game. And to start things off, we'll talk about things I like. Right off the bat, I think that was probably the best win of the year, coming off a loss that was arguably the worst loss of the year. It was a team loss last night. A lot of things went wrong. A lot of people didn't perform. A lot of people didn't execute. It was almost the exact opposite tonight, where it was a team win tonight. You had contributions from the bullpen, up and down the lineup, Patrick Bailey being right in the middle of things. So it's great to have him back, both behind the plate and at the plate. Just overall, really good win. Going down 5-0 in the 4th inning, at least from a fan's perspective, felt like the game was over, especially after such a deflating loss last night. I actually was pretty impressed by the fact that they were able to come back and make it competitive at all. Just getting themselves back in the game, even if they wouldn't have won, I thought was a good way to respond to that deflating loss and then an early deficit in the game. And then to come back and actually win, I think it's the best win of the year so far. Hopefully it's not the best win of the year for the rest of the season, because we'd love a lot more great wins. But yeah, I think overall, how this was such a team win and coming back from how they lost last night, I'd say this was the best win of the season so far. All right, next, let's talk about Lamont Wade Jr. He is unreal right now. He got on base 6 times, 3 hits, 3 walks, knocked in the tying run, playing at an elite level, worked a walk against Aroldis Chapman. Chapman went on to walk 2 more batters to load the bases in the 8th inning, but Wade went down 0-2 against a lefty. The knock on him is that he doesn't hit lefties well. He has pretty well so far this year. I think he's forcing his hand to play every day against lefties as well. Maybe against a tough lefty or something. That's a good time to get Wilmer in the lineup, just to give him an off day. Everybody needs off days. Everybody needs a little bit of rest. So why not? I was a little bit surprised that Melvin didn't go to Wilmer for Wade in the 8th inning against Aroldis Chapman, but I'm glad he didn't, and it ended up working out well. Next thing I liked was Luis Matos. Had a pretty good game. Started 0 for 4, but ended up with 2 hits in his last 2 at-bats, so 2 for 6. Pretty good performance. He had 1 at-bat where he smoked a ball right up the middle, just right at the second baseman as well. Liked him in the leadoff spot. I'm not sure that's really where they want him, but if you want Lamont Wade Jr. hitting second, it probably makes sense to have Matos hitting in front of him, at least right now while he's so hot. We'll see if that continues, but the 2 hits he had in the 9th and in the 10th, both of them were well outside. He took a breaking ball that was outside and actually hit that, a little bit in the gap in left field. So he pulled an outside pitch off the plate into left field. There was a bobble by Brian Reynolds, and Luis Matos saw that and took advantage and hustled into second to reach second on that error, which enabled him to score on Lamont Wade Jr.'s hit. In the 10th, took a pitch that was, again, at least 6 inches outside, kind of just served it into right field for another hit. He looks great. Back control's there. I think he looks really good. And then we're going to talk about Matt Chapman. I think his best individual all-around game of the season. Played really good defense all game long. Ended the game on just kind of this weird but really great play. Had a huge home run to get the Giants within 2 runs. Overall, I think probably his best game on both sides of the ball. Wasn't his best offensive performance, but considering the defense, I think that was probably his best game. All right, and then the last thing is most of the bullpen. Jelly obviously came in and gave up the grand slam. After that, though, settled in, finished the inning, and then pitched another clean inning. We can't just look past the grand slam, though. But after that, Randy Rodriguez pitched 2 innings, 2 dominant innings as well. And then between Ryan Walker, Tyler Rogers, and Camilo Doval, 6 shutout innings from the bullpen. That was great. And then moving over to things I didn't like. First and foremost, we'll get this out of the way, Blake Snell. And I don't even necessarily mean the performance. First start back from a couple rehab games. Can't expect him to go super deep into games and to get himself out of trouble that he normally does, just because he probably doesn't have the stamina to do that just yet. I don't particularly like the way he pitches. He nibbles and he gets into a lot of 3-ball counts and he walks a lot of guys, and just my personal aesthetic preference, that's not something I enjoy watching, but hopefully he at least rights the ship a little bit so that he can get you through 5 or 6 innings, even if it's not the most efficient way to do it. And then next, kind of already touched on this, but didn't like the the grand slam that Sean Jelly gave up. It felt like the reverse Brandon Crawford from 2014, where grand slam like silences the crowd. Obviously, this was also in Pittsburgh, so it didn't silence the crowd, but it just felt very deflating at the time. Didn't like that. And then the next thing, Mike Yastrzemski had a pretty bad night, to the point where I wonder, obviously we can't just judge a player by one game, but there's been all this talk about what do the Giants do when Conforto's back, and does that mean Ramos will get sent down, or what does that mean for playing time? And I think it might mean when Conforto's back that it doesn't eat into Ramos's playing time as much as maybe it does for Yastrzemski, and Yastrzemski ends up being a late inning defensive replacement or starting against certain right-handed pitching. But if he keeps having games like this, it'll be hard to justify playing him over Ramos, is really my point. I think he's a good player. Doesn't have the upside of somebody like Ramos. I think he's steadier. And then the fourth thing is pinch hitting for Luciano again late in the game. Wilmer Flores pinch hit for him. And Flores had a good at bat. He made an out, but he hit a line drive to the center fielder. So it wasn't that going to Flores was a bad decision. It makes you wonder about the decision making, because Luciano's not there for his glove, right? He's there for his bat. But if 2 nights in a row he's getting pinch hit for in the 9th inning, that's not a good sign. Or it makes you wonder what they actually think about him and if they don't think he can perform. His numbers look good. His numbers look actually really gaudy. Obviously, small sample caveats all over the place here. And if they're going to pinch hit for him in the 9th and they don't love his glove, why aren't they putting in a defensive replacement for him to begin with? I don't know. It's just very odd. I don't really like what's going on there. I think he's looked fine. He's actually one of the strikeouts he had tonight was a slider like a foot outside. I think his at-bats have looked pretty good. The power's not there, but I think that's kind of his MO. Once he settles in and gets comfortable, then the power starts to come. But I think his plate appearances have looked good, so not really sure what's going on there, and I don't think I like it. All right, and then last but not least, having to face Paul Skeens tomorrow to win the series. May or may not be hoping for a reverse jinx here, because I said this in yesterday's episode going into the game against Jared Jones today. But yeah, they've got a uphill battle to win the series by facing Skeens tomorrow, who obviously is only 2 starts in, but definitely looks as advertised and looks like one of the better pitching prospects we've seen in a very long time. All right, that'll do it. Thanks for listening. You can follow us on social media at Third and King Shop. You can visit our website at thirdandking.shop, and we'll be back with another one tomorrow. Thanks.